Welcome to Venator Chronicles Podcast. I'm Ethan Taylor.
And I'm Dustin Jelly.
Our hope is to inspire new and old hunters alike.
We hope you can join us on this journey of lessons that we have, are, and will learn through the world of hunting.
Dusty.
All right.
We are here, dude.
We're here. We're back.
Well, today I'm excited to share.
Dude,
I'm excited to share this episode.
This was a good episode.
Yeah, I'm really encouraged, and I don't know, man. What do you think?
It was. I think you guys are gonna love this. This episode. It was a good starting conversation. Mm-hmm. Something that we've been thinking a lot about lately in regards to hunting, social media, and our culture and community as a whole, and how we can be better.
Yeah, and so today, what you're going to hear is Thomas Krick. He and his brother Nate both run Identical Draw, and so we got to hear a little bit of their story, and you guys will hear that. And then, kind of the main topic is social media and the effects of how we present things on there.
Yeah,
and to non-hunters and hunters and all that stuff in between.
Yeah, and this is actually something that you and I were talking about because I had kind of a depressing weekend a couple of weeks ago looking at a bunch of social media posts and arguing and just a bunch of dumb stuff. And as we're talking, we're like, hey, we should talk about this. And then this last week, the Identical Draw guys ended up actually dropping a video talking about this very thing and just kind of where they're at and what's been on their mind and their hearts and how they want to be part of the movement to make it better.
Yeah. So I hope you guys are excited and just enjoy it and take it in. And here's the thing. There's not a whole lot of answers, but there's a lot of really good questions, and we really, really would love to hear if you guys think we're crazy, if you guys think it's on track, just any kind of input in a way that's going to be edifying and building up the community in general, but just getting different insights and different perspectives, I think, is where we got to start.
Yeah, it's definitely something I think that we'll continue to have the conversation throughout the rest of the year of what does it look like for us as a hunting culture and community and our interactions on social media, both in what we present and how we interact with others, not only amongst ourselves as a community, but to the outside world, to the non-hunting community, especially given the reality that the total number of people hunting is dropping year by year. Mm-hmm. And just what can we do as a community to fix that? And I think this is one of those aspects is what do we do, how we present, who we are, what we are on social media, I think will play a big effect into all of that. Yeah.
And with that, we're going to jump right into the conversation that we were having with Thomas.
So enjoy.
Do you just want to start out by kind of telling us a little bit about you guys and what you guys are doing yourself and kind of how you ended up where you are, if that makes sense, and with what you're doing and spending a lot of time and money into hunting?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Nate and I started back in 2016. We just fell in love with it right away. We've always been into the outdoors. Dad hunted kind of thing. And I guess like it was just a matter of time before we started filming our hunts, I guess. It was kind of just like the next thing that we wanted to get into because we just love the outdoors so much.
Yeah.
So I guess what really started Identical Draw was going to the HB Film School in 2016. It really opened up our eyes. We've been following those guys for a couple of years, and they were definitely a huge influence for Nate and I. But I mean, it was like we realized like our video camera we had or our DSLR could take video. We just didn't know anything.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was like we saw everybody bringing in their cameras that we thought you just use for photos and stuff. But sure enough, hey, film some video. We had a trial fall. Yeah. And then we formed the official Identical Draw LLC in March of 2017.
Nice.
And we invested in some camera equipment. And then our official season one was that next fall in 2017. So that fall was kind of weird. In the summer we won a trip to Estonia, the country.
What?
Through our college, yeah.
Okay.
Through our college, because it was like a business pitch contest that we won, and they sent us over there for free for 3 weeks to talk to entrepreneurs and stuff, which was definitely a big eye-opening thing for us because there aren't very many hunters over there.
Okay.
So we had a pretty intense group of people that were critical of our videos, which kind of helped, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Kind of opened up our eyes to maybe the non-hunting view. But we got back from that, and I actually got a gig working for Latondras Media Collective. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
I'm not. No, not offhand.
He's out of Colorado, and so I had a doll sheep hunt lined up that I was going to film for a big client in August. So we kind of like saw this business start to take off. So we worked with our college that fall, and we were taking 12 credits, so we were full time, but we didn't have a single class in the classroom.
Oh, that's
nice.
sweet. Well played, sir.
Yeah, it was legit. So, and we did an internship with Sean Luchtel with Heartland Bowhunter that
nice.
fall.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, yeah, it was awesome. It was a great deal. So we kind of filmed our first season. Then we had a bunch of footage and we didn't know what to do with it.
Uh-huh.
We had like, do we do YouTube? Where do we go? And then Carbon TV reached out to us like at the perfect time. And that's kind of where we put that first season of footage. And I don't know, this last fall was our third season, and we've just been continuing to network with people and work with great companies. So I don't know what other info you want. It's been a fun run though.
Man, that's awesome. And you said, so you've been kind of outdoors hunting as you've grown up, like when you say started in 2017, was it? That's mainly the the business side of it.
Mainly that was the business side of it. We've been hunting since we were 8, 9, 10, so real young. Yeah. Oh,
that's awesome. And have you been archery hunting since then, or a little bit older maybe?
A little older. Nate actually got into archery first. Probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. Then I followed suit like a year later.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Basically been hooked since. So
yeah. Well, I don't know how much you know about us. Like I started, what was it, 2018 season?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year. So I've hunted my whole life, and I've done the rifle hunting, and my brother, he bought a new bow, and he's like, hey, you should try archery. And I'm like, I don't know. It seems like it takes a lot more time and all this different stuff. And I went out and shot some arrows. Like, yep, I'm hooked. Yeah. I'll be doing this the rest of my life. Forget it.
Yeah.
And we haven't looked back.
Yeah.
You got a badass bow to shoot too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna let's give that up. So I had reached out to actually a few people because the bow I had was I think it's a Tomcat.
It was ancient.
Yeah, it's a Tomcat bow tech, and it's like 10 plus years old at this time, and they quit making the modules for it. And I went to Bow Shop, and they were able to shorten it up a little bit.
Yeah, because it was like 3 inches too long for Ethan.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't have a ton of I don't have a ton of money to invest. I got 4 kids now, and so I didn't have a ton of money to invest into the archery game. And I was like, well, I'm gonna reach out to some people that I enjoy following and do archery stuff. And I'm like, is there any way that I can like make this work and not totally screw myself up until I can buy a bow that actually works for my draw? And you guys replied. I mean, John Dudley was like, twist the strings. I'm like, okay. And then you guys replied, and you're like, well, we use the bow for a season if you're interested in buying that. And you guys gave me a ridiculous sweet deal. So I like so thankful. And I had him sign it. So yeah, dude, it's kind of a cool connection to have just in general. I always like every time I see the signatures, I'm like, oh, that's so cool how that worked out.
Yeah.
So huge thanks for that. That's pretty awesome.
For sure.
So I had a question just for my own amusement. Is it Nate or you, or maybe it's totally equal, I don't know. But is there one person who's like really into the filming and the other person's like really into or like the hunting side of it? And like, you know what I'm saying? Or is it kind of 50-50 pretty equally?
We try to make it really equal, I'd say. I feel like once one of us films for a long trip and the other one hunts, and we're both ready to kind of switch. We both like love being behind the camera or the bow. Editing wise, it's kind of interesting. Like he does the rough cutting of episodes
Sure.
usually, and then I go in and finish them up. That's kind of what we found works for us. So
Oh, that's awesome.
we found strengths and weaknesses for sure. Yeah,
Dude, that's super cool. That's super cool. And some of your guys' videos, like I laugh at myself. Like I just started attempting to self-film things and I'm literally just using my phone.
yeah.
So I'm like,
Hey,
you guys
that'll get the
are
job
next level with you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, dude. Well, really cool. Really cool. So again, kind of like what the main reason we wanted to chat a little bit and talk is the impacts of social media on people who are current hunters, non-hunters that are potential hunters, and just straight up non-hunters as well.
Yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
to kind of kick this off, maybe just kind of give us kind of a rundown of like what's been on your guys' mind and hearts with this lately and what's kind of been tugging at you guys in regards to all of this.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's always been in our head, I guess. And I'm sure it's in a lot of different hunters' heads. Just the impact of social media and where non-hunters fit in there. And then we had this ATA Social Summit, which I mentioned in our video.
Yep.
And that kind of just like lit the spark. Like, okay, we're having a discussion about it. What's actually going to happen? Like, we're losing hunting numbers. Like, I know it's not all because of social media, but social media has a huge impact.
Yeah.
And we believe, and we were kind of like multiple times throughout the conversation, different people brought up like all 90 of us in here understand like what needs to happen, but there's like 100,000 people outside of this little conference room that don't get it, that maybe chose to not be in this room, like, or don't care. How are we going to like make a bigger impact, I guess? And Nate and I, like, there's no perfect answer, but we're trying to figure this out and I guess begin the discussion on changes that we kind of think need to be made. So,
yeah. So in your guys' kind of experience, what do you think are some of those major changes that you'd like to see or be part of the change in bringing about?
Yeah. I think some of the biggest ones, and like I said, I mentioned it kind of in the video, but like just hunters beating down other hunters is a huge thing. We've experienced a ton. I'm sure you guys have. Yeah. I've seen you guys post stories about it. So there's just so much of that. Like, there's so much competition. Like, everybody's trying to do similar things, which I understand. But we've seen people like specifically like dislike or like comments of just trolls, just like killing our videos, and people that we've helped in the past that just don't want to see us succeed. We're like, how is that helping like us as hunters like grow in a community? If hunters are actually beating down other hunters, how are we expecting non-hunters to support us, kind of deal? I don't know. Well, so we kind of focus a lot on that hunters versus hunters deal, and then just like kind of specific social media posts and how we need to be careful on there. Nate and I are gonna be really like story specific, and we don't want to ever post anything onto our feed that's gonna like make a non-hunter turn away. I guess.
Shock value stuff.
Yes, yes.
Guilty.
Yeah,
I've done that. My bad.
No, yeah, and that's the thing we had, like the discussion we had at this social summit. It's like we all love, like, hunters love seeing those photos. Like we love seeing the trophy shots. We love seeing the heart, like right in front of your face kind of shots. But like, I don't know. None of us want to stop doing it, but I think we need to like figure out like where that's okay, kind of deal. So yeah, I don't know. It's a big task, and
yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten more whiplash for that video yet. I don't know, because there's a lot of hunters stuck in their ways.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I think one thing too with social media, and like hunters versus hunters, I think a big part of that is this scarcity mentality, especially when people are trying to make a name and grow their company or whatever it might be. Yeah. And I think people have this idea where it's like, oh, well, if they're going to be successful, that means it takes away from my opportunity to be successful, which it's not.
Yeah.
And then there's things like I don't do, or I may not think is like the best way or the most popular way or whatever it is. I might just straight up not like someone else's way. but what do you really gain from making a public comment about it?
Yeah.
Like you literally, there's just too many eyes and too many people looking at it going for someone to really be able to have a thoughtful conversation with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I think we'll be going into year 5 of hunting, and I didn't grow up hunting, not anything my family did, and so coming in, I mean, I was around the hunting culture, just being in northern Minnesota, it's pretty predominant, but coming in and starting to actually get involved in the hunting culture and community, there was a lot about it already that when I came in, I was like, oh man, this is, it's a really interesting culture as it was. And it wasn't until like I saw Donnie Vincent's video, especially his Who We Are video on YouTube, where I was just like, I mean, at that time I was just blown away that, wow, here is a guy who's articulating this story and purpose behind hunting that is really beautiful. And even starting to watch his videos, it was just like, wow, this is really cool, because this is a story that's being told, an adventure that's being shared, and not just like a montage of kill shots.
Yeah.
And so I guess one of my questions for you is like, do you feel like a lot of people are disconnecting hunting from the stories that surround it? And is that something that we need to really be doing a better job at?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're still around that story piece.
Oh no.
Oh, we're still around that. Hold on one second. Sorry, man. I don't know what's going on with this.
Darn Wi-Fi.
You said we're still around that story piece?
Yeah, it could be my bad too. I think my son's kind of crying out there, but I'll go in a better spot once he goes down.
No problem, dude. We both got
This is how life goes.
Yeah, this is it. Not a problem for us. So, yeah, man.
But with that story, I think hunters are telling the story, but I don't know if we're just doing it the right way, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and we've even done it the wrong way. Me and Nate, I think, and we're still kind of evolving in how we can tell that story and get acceptance from almost everybody, instead of scaring people off. I don't know. Well, I guess it's hard to find the right answer in there. I think a lot of hunters are out there telling good stories, but I don't know. I think some people have big egos as well, and it just doesn't resonate with a lot of the common people, I guess.
Well, and you know what's been really cool about like listening to Donnie Vincent and watching his videos, and honestly watching your guys' videos and what you guys are talking about the process before, during, and after. What I find, what kind of separates some of these kill shot videos from what you're doing, from what Donnie Vincent is doing, and what we're even trying to do with the podcast, because like what we talk about it being like a microcosm of life, where you have all these integrity checks and all these things where nobody's watching and you got to make the right decision. But what I think is happening, at least for me, is like I grew up hunting, and there's so much of it to me that's like a given, that I've never had to work to put words to what is actually happening and what I'm actually feeling. And so when I see people like you guys or like Donnie Vincent, and there's a bunch of other people where they're actually working really hard to tell what's really going on, and like the internal part of it that people can appreciate whether they like hunting or not. Where it's like those challenges, because when you're talking to another hunter, there's so much that's already given. It's like, oh, you hunt, I hunt. We don't need to debate that. And then, hey, here's my hunting story, just in terms of like, here's the wind, here's the time, here's the travel, whatever it was. So to work, it takes a lot of work to really present like the perspective and the introspection of what's actually happening, like inside as well, like just demonstrating how much respect you have for what you're doing for the animals, all those things. And I think that is something that I feel like kind of separates those kill videos to what you guys are doing and what others are doing really, really well, is really putting words to what we're feeling, because nobody really, there's just hasn't been a ton of that, I feel.
For sure. I just think those kind of videos resonate so much well with people who maybe don't know about hunting or don't accept it. I think they'd way rather see something like that. And I'd say from this video that Nate and I post, we've had by far more non-hunters talk about it or share it than hunters by far. So
That's awesome.
I think they love like hearing and seeing that discussion where, like, for once, like, hunters are on their side a little bit more. I think, I don't know.
Dude, that's super cool.
So I guess one question, I actually haven't had a ton of experience just because I'm so new to this, talking with people who aren't hunters or people who are against it. But in your experience and the conversations that you've shared with people, what are some of the kind of common themes that they share as far as their view on hunting or what they would like to see? Or maybe just what have those conversations looked like? Just so, I mean, I can talk theory all day, but like I'm just kind of curious to what they are looking for or wanting that we can help cultivate.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the majority of them go like this. Like, the majority of people that have reached out or talked about it to us are people that haven't hunted before, or maybe have had kind of a skewed version of it in their heads, but they're not necessarily against hunting. And kind of just this simple video opened up their eyes, like, oh, these, like, at least these two people understand it kind of how I view it, instead of what the social media and most hunters like talk about hunting or portray hunting. I think that's kind of been the biggest thing. Not like nothing really too specific about it, just like that we understood them is the biggest thing, I guess.
Gotcha.
I'd say.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more not so much the hunting itself, but more the presentation that people are doing things in that they have an issue with.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Even you guys posting that video caused me, as a hunter, grew up around people who all hunt, and quite honestly, like, because I've been around such a vast majority of people who do hunt, never really found myself in a place where I needed to or felt the need to, like, oh, hey, how is this appearing to people who aren't hunting? And not doing it in a way where it's like I'm compromising who we are, who I am, and like trying to appease people. But kind of like what you guys were, at least I felt like the message you guys were talking about was even like just thinking about it and like bringing it to light was such a huge thing, even for me, because I'm like, oh man, yeah, there's actually some things I'd probably change that I've done or shown. And so that's why, like, we're talking about like shock value photos. I don't think of them that way, but when people see them that don't hunt, I was like, ooh, that's probably not going to be real helpful. Like, that's not really gaining much, is it?
Yeah. It's like there's a fine line there, though, you know, like it's just the respect behind it, I guess. You know, like Steven Ranella, he posts like some of the most gory stuff ever, but people just know where he's coming from, you know? Like, I don't know. It's like, I wish there was like God that could just like shift, like part the Red Sea with good and bad, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tricky. Like, who's in the wrong, who's in the right. I don't know.
We live in a very gray, there's a lot of grays in this world.
Well, I remember when the Bomars dropped that bear hunting video and just some of the shock values things they did. I mean, that was one video that really got me thinking a lot about this, of like, where is that balance? Where is that line? Because seeing what the reaction to that was, I mean, that was a strong reaction over some things that, I mean, personally, I would have done very differently. You know, and just seeing, was like, wow, okay, what does this mean for me moving forward in this culture, in this community? It's like, how do we address that things? And in your experience talking with people, because I've been reading just various posts here and there, and actually I got sucked into one post. It was on one of, I don't remember if it was the Instagram page, Make Hunting Great Again, or TSD, or one of the I would say raunchier posts, and Tyler Sharp from the Modern Huntsman was on there, and he was going back and forth in a dialogue, and one of the things I kept seeing was people just kind of almost bashing him for like, oh, you're selling out, you're compromising, your language is too soft, too weak. And so I was wondering, is that something that you've heard from people as you guys have done the things that you're doing and trying to articulate things better? Do you feel like, have you gotten a lot of pushback on you're being too soft or you're compromising, and what has that interaction been like for you?
Yeah. we definitely had a lot of positivity in our video, and we had some people like comment, some really good guys like Matt Ross. I don't know if you're familiar. He's with QDMA.
Yep.
Doug Dern chimed in. He's like,
awesome.
Like, these are great things to talk about, but like, we need to have the hard discussions, like within the industry and with the people, like specifically. What were they giving the Modern Huntsman guy a hard time for on that post?
Ah, man, I'm trying to remember. I think he was just really pushing back on like the whole like idea of like we need to present ourselves better and be able to dialogue with people that don't align with us better, which is something that I really appreciate Tyler Sharp does, is that like, hey, let's engage in conversation with people across the pond that we don't necessarily agree with, because these conversations need to happen. And a lot of the people are just basically like, oh, you shouldn't align with them. You know, we need to take a stand firm, you know, plant our flag and not budge an inch.
Oh yeah.
And it just,
for sure.
Yeah. And it's just,
there's a lot of people like that. And we're still waiting for that. Like I kind of said, we didn't get the whiplash we were expecting. Because we know like you guys and us, like we're a small percentage.
Right.
And Nate and I just have to keep reminding ourselves, like we're just getting started with these videos. We've got a lot like in the woodwork, and we keep telling ourselves like the people that matter in our lives and in the hunting industry are going to respect what we're doing, and the people that don't can get the hell out, basically.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of been our mind frame, because we know we're going to probably burn bridges. We're trying to align ourselves with companies that understand, and we think a lot of the companies we work with understand where we're coming from and will accept what we preach. But we're just going to have to see where the waters take us, I guess, because we don't know where it's going to go, but this is just something that needs to happen. We know we're going to burn bridges in some areas, and we might make a lot of hunters hate us, but if it's all for the good, that's where it's going to take us.
Well, and I think too, like honestly, it's a life skill, and it's like it's just a really important thing in general, being able to engage with. I mean, you see the hysteria with anything in the mainstream media, even outside of hunting, where you have these crazy sides that are just pitted against each other. That nobody wants to talk; they just want to yell back and forth at each other, and it takes such a level of, in my mind, maturity and understanding, and a person who's really willing to listen. Like, you're listening to learn. You're not listening to respond and retort and shut down the idea. You're really listening to learn and understand. And to do that, or to try to take that on with people that, you know, you don't agree with, is a super, super noble cause. And there's a lot of people who, like, they just want to go out, slay some animals, post their trophy picture, and that's it. And anything less than that is you being soft, or you know, it's not, at least for me, like, it's just not a way to live with any subject. And for me, like, and whether it's like, I've watched and listened to so many things about people that I don't agree with, or I don't even, like, they're just totally on the opposite side, but to understand the perspective, so I at least have an understanding of how to approach the conversation if they were interested in having one, has been a huge part of kind of setting myself up and us up for success, having that skill, because there's nothing to be gained if they react and then we react back to them, instead of responding with something that's shows that we're actually here to listen and we want to talk.
For sure. Big time. Yeah.
So what are some things that you guys have kind of, I don't know if you guys have really formulated anything for this year, it's just as far as like your approach or kind of goals and desires in really fleshing out this whole desire of presenting hunting and social media in a better light? I mean, what does that look like for you guys in 2020 and on?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's still for me, I guess. Like, to be honest, we, like, going into this year, we didn't know like how much of this, like, this kind of topic we'd get into. And, like, I guess with these few, like the ATA Social Summit, and then me and Nate just really talking about it, we've kind of changed our year to focus on it a lot. So kind of our plan now is we're going to take out at least 12 new hunters one per month at least, at a minimum,
Nice.
and get people outside. And that's just that's a real small thing, because we want to, I don't know, we just want to do our part in getting new hunters out there, because that's also an important piece of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to keep this talk going on social media as well as YouTube, and we're hoping that people will just begin to get behind us a little bit there and kind of see like, hey, these identical draw boys are just continuing this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do some hunting, non-hunting, or hunting and non-hunters kind of video, like show them like specific social media posts and see how each kind of person reacts. And I think that'll be a big eye-opening kind of video.
That'll
See how
be fun.
the non-hunter that's not used to that bloody, gory shot reacts, and the way hunters react. Like you guys are in Wisconsin, I'm in the Midwest. Like, it's hard to find people kind of with that perception. Like I'd have to work to find people that honestly, I'd have to do some digging to find people that like wouldn't flinch at that photo, you know? So it's kind of hard. We have to get out of our shell for sure. So we're still formulating, but we're going to be taking out a lot of new people. We're going to continue this discussion. I'm sure there's a lot I don't know yet that we're going to be doing this year, but yeah, I don't know. I'll keep talking about it as long as this needs to be talked about, I guess.
Dude, that's awesome.
And
as far as like this is a movement, I mean, any kind of words of wisdom, encouragement, or direction that like even like our platform can help propel this conversation further. I mean, anything, I don't know. I mean, we're in the middle of the conversation of, what can we do even? But how can we be of a help or assist and just really help and continue to make this go forward?
For sure, yeah. We need all the help we can get. Like Dan Johnson, I don't know if you guys know he's got 9 Finger Chronicles.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, he kind of like has kept with this theme, and I've listened to a couple of different podcasts he's done with Kenyon and on his own platform. But like, we're slowly building up an army, and I kind of liked how he like makes it so intense, because that's what it is. Like, sides are going to split eventually, and there's going to be a big freaking showdown. I feel like I don't know when it's going to happen. 2 years, next month, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever it is, if my kids are dealing with it instead of me. But I don't know. This discussion is just getting started, and I don't know. I don't want to see a divide in the hunting industry, but it seems like there's 2 different people in it right now, and I guess we gotta figure that out.
Well, and I think there's like, I don't know, like I try to think about like what's helping perpetuate the negative things that we want to do or that people are doing, even like with the industry. And you think about like a lot of times for me, and when Dustin and I are talking about like companies we want to work with, kind of like the same thing you're talking about, like we've turned down different people for different reasons and stuff, because it is something we want to make sure that we actually believe in what they're doing and they believe in.
Or kind of our motto is the people behind the products, not the product itself.
That
matter.
That's really fun.
And I just wonder if and I feel like companies are moving this direction in general, but where it's like this more organic way of presenting things, where it used to, for like, I mean, whether it's broadheads or rifles, whatever it is, where it's just this like bombardment of this is what success is, and like they have it defined where it's this kill and it's how much damage you do or whatever it is. Like, I feel like a lot of people see that and then they think, oh, that's how success is defined, so then I need to show that as well.
Yeah.
So it's like this, like, and I feel like companies are moving. I think it's, was it Benelli that's going to be working with Donnie Vincent? And they're like, you don't have to worry about showing a rifle, talking about it, whatever it is. Just take it and do what you do for a week. We'll pay for it.
You don't need to leave the store sticker plastered across the buttstock.
Exactly. And I don't know, to me as a hunter, like even that is like even more appealing, and it's not like this drive to sell. Cause I think that's really I know it's off-putting for me when it's like just the whole show or the whole thing is just in your face trying to push a product. And it feels like we're just selling the animal to sell the product. Like you're selling that's what makes the product sell instead of what's behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Being in this, with this sponsorship deal, I guess, this working with these different companies, you definitely learn a lot, and which companies have the values that kind of coincide with your values and your company. And that's something that our dad is big into that kind of deal. He's an HR guy, and he just like right away, like as soon as he forms LLC, he's like, you guys need to form your values. What's important to you? What's your purpose? Because when those companies come a knocking that don't have the right kind of perspective on things and don't align with you guys are going to know that, hey, you might have to deny some money, you might have to deny products, whatever it is, but you're going to know that you're making the right decision. And we've had to fall back like many times and just say no, like this is where we're heading and we just don't see it working out. So yeah, I mean, I love hearing that from you guys as well. It's just something that has to happen.
So kind of going back to what you said a little bit earlier about, you feel like there's going to be a divide coming. Do you think that might be coming down through a divide of the companies that are really influencing a lot of this? Or do you think it's going to be more kind of the lower level, the grassroots level?
Yeah, I think, like, honestly, I've seen company base already begin. Especially at HCA, like I could go around with you guys and like point out like these people, like I understand their values, and these people are still like pushing product, like going the whole TV route. Like there's a lot of great TV shows, but there's just, I don't know. It seems like it's easier and it gets easier and easier each ATA to just to distinguish who's sticking with the times and who's holding strong on hunters are macho people that nothing needs to change kind of deal. I think I think it's starting to get more obvious and I don't know if companies are meaning to do this, but it's definitely starting to look that way.
Well, that's interesting actually too, like what you're saying there with like hunters. There is that idea of like we're macho, we're tough, we're outside, we're whatever. And as I was thinking about as you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, like we really are showing the side of us that's not, or the side of the actual hunting where it's like there's a lot more to this. Like there is, like, I mean, even when I started hearing people like, oh yeah, there's regret like after I kill this animal. And I was like, oh, I've never thought of, like, again, I didn't put words to it, but then it's like, oh yeah, no, I've experienced that. And then now are we just going to push that to the side to look cool and to look like we got it all under control and we're not humans? Or are we going to acknowledge like this is a real struggle that we have to be faced? Because death, I mean, it's life and death. It is serious, and you are face to face with it. And to not treat it with respect or to blow it off like it's not that big of a deal, it really cuts the value of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Not very many people understand that, I don't think. Like I mentioned in our video briefly, like our industry is based off of killing.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even think hunters completely understand that sometimes. Like we are killing animals, big animals.
Yeah.
And we're just like taking a trophy pick. Like, I don't know. Like I understand that we come from hunters in the past, hunting and gathering. I'm all for that, but like we just need to. Times are changing, and we just need to understand like what that means, like for the whole world, I guess, for the different people that don't understand that. I don't know. I think not paying attention to that is not a smart decision. So
that's that particular subject that you just mentioned, like the trophy picture. That is something that I've been wrestling with, and my initial like gut reaction to it is probably like what you would expect being from the Midwest, northern Wisconsin, where I'm like, that's my memory. I get to cherish that. I get to like that. That is such a huge thing for me. Where are you at with that? Or have you evolved from that at all? Like, have you changed where you're at with that, or where are you at with that currently? Yeah,
for sure. That's a huge thing that came out with the ATA summit. Like everybody there's like, I don't want to stop posting these trophy pictures. It's really tricky. That's probably maybe the most like difficult subject, like where this kind of falls. And what it's kind of come down to for us is it a respectful picture? There's respectful trophy shots and there's disrespectful, I guess. Like if he's flashed in front of a non-hunter, like two different types, I'd hope that they wouldn't see both of them as a bad way, but who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe in 5 years we're going to be posting these just on our stories. But I mean, if you go on our feed, like we posted shots of both of our bucks, like me and Nate's bucks in that we killed on our Kansas ground. Like we shared that in a respectful way is how we took it. But maybe it's still not respectful enough. So yeah, I don't think there's an answer there yet. Nate and I have decided we're gonna put a lot of that on our story. The maybe more gory, sensitive images we're gonna put in our story and lead off with, hey, like we're gonna show these things. If you're not into this kind of thing, then come back tomorrow and we'll have something else. But like I don't think you're gonna stop seeing, like, I can't just ask the hunting community to stop posting these photos. I can't scroll by like 3 different Instagram pages and not see a trophy shot. So I think a lot of it is just how it's portrayed, like big time respect. Yeah. Not like one sentence and a score. I think it's like, this animal, like I worked so hard for this. I put in months and months of work. This is my 100th deer. Like it still means the same to me. Even like when I shoot this buck, like there's always that heartfelt, like I just took a life kind of feeling. Yeah. Like I've told my mom, like, is a great kind of, she doesn't hunt. Okay. And I get like the non-hunting perspective from her, which is great. Nice. She's like, Thomas, if you ever kill something and don't feel anything, then I want you out. And I agree. Like, dude, if I kill something and I don't feel anything, then I'm not doing it for the right reasons. So,
man, that reminds me of like my first archery deer. So I rifle hunted, right? So everything's like far away, like dying out of sight, no biggie. My first archery deer, I felt so sick, and I've grown up hunting my whole life, and I spine shot the deer, and you can listen to the whole thing. That's past episode, but the root of it is I spine shot a deer, and I felt so much remorse. Like I went home, like I had to. I was in the stand. I shot the deer dropped, and I'm like, oh, good. And then all of a sudden the deer's like, and this is hopefully, I mean, to me, it's like most people don't want to hear it, but this is what it is. The deer's trying to get away on its front 2 hooves. And I felt so sick to my stomach. And here I am, I shot like 2 more arrows, and it went where I couldn't shoot it. And I'm like trying to get down to my climber without falling. And the level of like disgust I felt with myself, because I was like, there's so much more I felt I should have and could have done. And then I went home, and it's like my first archery deer. I should be amped and excited. And I'm sitting there, and my wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, I feel so bad about what just happened. And I got down and I ended it, and it was all done within like 10 minutes. But the reality of, even if they're not right in front of you, that's just that life is still leaving, and there's still that struggle for life from the same, like it wants to live. Right. You know. And that was such an awakening for me with archery hunting, and the intimacy of it for me went way up as far as like, okay, I have a huge, like I felt like this immense responsibility about how I prepare for the season and how serious I take everything. Because rifle hunting is, to me, is like, deer drives, it's just so bam, bam, and just things happen a lot quicker, and things seem to be finished sooner, and you're at a much greater distance most of the time. Yeah. And so that for me was like so difficult. I mean, Dusty, like how bad it was. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to feel good about this. Yep. It was a real struggle.
Yeah. I've been there. I mean, and Ethan, like what you just described, if you like put that into a post, you've done your job. Like you perfectly described it to me. Like any non-hunter that sees that would see how much you love that animal. And I think it just posts like what you just described. I think if we just keep that up and really show these people how we actually care, that's our job right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like kind of like what you're getting at as well, both actually in your Instagram story or whatever, but in just telling a story instead of just this end result. Yeah. Because I have gone out so many times, and I'm sure you have too, and gotten almost just as much, if not more at times, fulfillment from just being around the deer, being like around in nature, and like all these things, like where I'm out there and I'm being fulfilled to my fullest. And it's not like the kill isn't always the thing that makes it a success or failure. And so actually sharing that part in the story, like I post every single time I went out, and the vast majority, I did not get anything. But to be able to like this is what I love. Like I love doing this, and it fills me up in a lot of ways. And I do want people to have that. And then one thing that was really cool, someone shared with me the fact that I shared all my failures, like as the world would define it, all my failures, made them so much more excited for me when I actually was successful and posted about it. And I think that just goes to the power of the story. Like when people, I can listen to just about anyone talk about anything if they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And so people seem to buy in more to like, okay, I see what you're putting into it. I see how much care and time and energy you're investing in this thing. And I think that makes it more palatable for people too.
Yeah. And I think hunters do an okay job in this area, better than a lot of areas that we've been discussing. But I'm always surprised how many non-hunters like don't understand still like how much we care. And I think that's just something that we can't stop talking about, I think. And I do think hunters do a good job in a lot of cases I see on social media, like describing like the work that goes into it. I think not everybody understands that, so we definitely have to keep talking about that.
So obviously as we talk, language is super important. One of the things that Ethan and I, we've gone back and forth on this year is the use of kill versus harvest, and we've discussed that quite a bit, and so I'd be curious to get your take on kind of, especially around that. Like, what do you like to use and why, and what do you think is helpful or not helpful in regards to kind of those two words, since those are like the big buzzwords that people get up in a roar about?
For sure. I've used both in the past. Lately, I'm just saying what it is. We're killing these deer. Like I think that's the best way to describe what we're doing. I don't know. Like I'm not against using harvest. I think we're also doing that as well. But I don't know. When it comes down to it, I think if non-hunters describe what we're doing, we're killing animals, and I think that's the best way to be transparent, I guess. But I'm not gonna. If somebody says they harvested this buck, I'm not gonna like be up in arms about it.
Right. Well, and that's I think there's like this balance of like being transparent enough where it's like you're not nobody feels like you're sugarcoating it, but you're not being disrespectful, or you're not like demeaning what's actually happening. Like you're not playing it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of like.
I don't know.
Yep. Go ahead.
I don't know about you guys, but like on social media, I'd say I see more people get flacked for saying harvest than kill.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but
you try to soften that up a bit, huh, buddy?
Because that's something like I'm always. I mean, for my job, I have to be really careful with what I write because I, as an investigator and writing documents that go to court, language and wording is super important. And so I'm always battling because I love like the overall connotation of harvest and like the depth that word can bring. But I also understand a lot of people view it as like, well, that's softening the blow, or that's trying to sugarcoat it, and versus kill like this. Yeah, in all reality, we are killing animals. I mean, there's no way around that. It's just so I'm always battling I don't want to just use the term kill because I feel like, it's a sharp pointed word, whereas harvest I think has a lot more depth, but it's just the complexities that go around that, like what you want to do and what you can do. Sometimes it's hard how to convey that well. So.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who's reading your post. Some might like to see harvest a lot more than kill, and some might be like, you're killing the freaking animal. You're not harvesting, like he's not soybeans. So I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I was curious to see kind of what your experience has been, but I think that's a really good point though of just your experience of how a lot of people, it seems to be, get a lot more flack for using the word harvest, and so that is interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of circling back around to something you mentioned earlier with just seeing certain companies that are really getting on board with making our community and culture better. I don't know if this is something you're comfortable with, but just, are there certain companies that you just really have liked where they're going, what they're doing, that you'd like just for the community to be aware, or is that something that, I don't know if you want to touch upon?
Sure. Yeah, no, I'll definitely touch on that. Yeah, I guess Nate and I haven't really done much sponsor switching ever since we've gotten in the game. We just want our fan base to understand, like, we just want to stick it out with these companies. And honestly, I'm gonna say, like, we got lucky. Like, a lot of these companies that we did start working with have happened to align with what we believe in. Um, Bear Archery's been great. We're gonna do some new hunting videos with them. I think they've
Nice.
been great about, like, hey, like, if you've got somebody that wants to get into bow hunting, like, they'll give us a bow for that. They've been really supportive. They, like, I met with it. Nate and I both met with them at ATA, and they're like, if I could drop everything right now and just give all our money to new hunting recruitment, I would. And, like, there's nothing greater to hear out of one of your partners' mouth than that, you know? So, like, that's a huge green light. Like, these guys
Nice.
really understand where we want to go with this. Vortex Optics is another one. They really are sticking with the times, and they understand. They were actually at the ATA Social Summit.
Oh, nice.
And so was Bear Archery. But yeah, those two companies have really stuck out. Meeting at ATA, like, we both had that kind of in the pipeline for what we want to do for 2020. So it's awesome when you have a company that aligns with the same things that you have for the year. So
Nice. And do you think kind of one of the dynamics with a lot of these companies that are looking ahead and looking at, like, the reality that we've talked about, how we're losing hunters and we're not gaining hunters? Do you think that there's kind of an aspect with some of these companies that are looking at, okay, how do we connect with the non-hunters, and in a way through social media, even through our products, to where it's inviting for people to come into hunting? Because, like, I mean, in the last 10 years, 15 years, it seems like a lot of hunting gear has really skyrocketed price-wise. You know, like the price of a new bow is astronomically high these days compared to what it used to be, and to where it almost could turn off people from hunting.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, what your thoughts are?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that shift. I would say the biggest thing that I've seen with those companies, it, like, from the companies that, like, the Vortex and Bear, that really accept kind of this change in hunting and where it's going versus others, they're just open-minded. So many companies aren't that way, I think. And that's kind of, like, been the greatest thing to see, is they're simply accepting where this hunting industry is kind of going, and they're being proactive about it. I'd say is the biggest thing that we notice, especially at ATA.
Nice.
Well, yeah, and I think too, I was like, with, you know, the younger generation. I mean, each generation has its own struggle with whatever hindrances they might have. But this coming generation, whether it's, you know, people who may call it, I don't know, between electronics and just the general, like, I mean, we didn't have a draft. We don't have, you know, fathers who've, to the extent that we've had, where it's like they come back and all they did was hunting. There's just this huge boom, right? And I think that there's some, like, major challenges in connecting with those younger kids and communicating the value of literally sacrificing your time, your money, your body, like, all these things to do hunting and to do it well. And how do we help convey the message? And it's not like we have to put a fake message out there. It's within what we're doing, and it's going to require us to change how we're presenting it, like you're talking about on social media. You know, I think people who, I mean, I love video games, so don't get me wrong, but also, like, how are we going to help? And, like, you're talking about bringing people out, at least, you know, one person new, a non-hunter each month. And I'm also thinking about my kids as well, because some of them, the oldest one now, like, he wants to play video games. He likes doing the things more indoors than outdoors out in general. And so, like, how do we present this to them with something that's really engaging and enticing, where it's like, I mean, how do we get that message across? It's something I wrestle with, I guess, right now quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you touched it. Like, hunting in a lot of ways, it's like a selfish deal. It's a selfish activity. it's an expensive and selfish activity in a lot of ways, but we need to do our best. And basically, just like changing that and getting people out. Nate and I mean, we haven't done this the best in the past, and we're definitely wanting to change that. But I don't know, especially in the industry, everybody wants their own big giant buck, and like QDMA and like the R3 movement, they're always saying like if every hunter just took out one hunter, like we wouldn't be having the issues. But obviously, we're still losing millions of hunters every couple of years, so people just aren't doing it still, So I don't know. We, like I mentioned in the video a lot, like sacrifice, dedication. Like if we really want to see this thing for our grandkids and their grandkids, like it's going to take that. And I don't know like how to get that point across. And like Ethan, you're talking about like how do we really instill it in our kids? I don't know if there's a perfect answer to that, and I'm going to be figuring that out here in the next couple of years. But I think just the dedication, like presenting the time to them, getting them actually outside, giving them the opportunity, and I guess I see where it falls from there.
Yeah.
Man.
Dude, well, I don't think we've solved a whole bunch of things, but I think the value of kind of like you guys starting the conversation and then following through with both the people you're interacting with and, coming and talking to us and then what you're going to be doing in the future. I think that's the start of it, is just actually having the conversation.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, I'm super appreciative of what you guys are doing and helping get going the change that is needed. I think, this is I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing what you guys bring about this year and what we can help be a part of. Yeah.
And I think you guys have actually quite a bit have helped me consider even the things I'm doing from that video as a hunter and started to consider like, oh man, I just haven't thought of it in that light from a totally like non-hunting perspective and what we're really conveying, whether we realize it or not. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today and just sharing your thoughts and what you guys are doing. Where can people find you? Did you have any final thoughts at all before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with final thoughts really quick.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I get so passionate about this discussion. I guess it's just one of those things because what it comes down to is the future of hunting, and that's the reason I'm hunting. I think the reason we're all in this. So, like, I don't know. I just get more emotional about this than like any other subject because I want it for my kids. And at the rate we're going and what's happening on social media, I just don't think that's a good problem. I just don't think that's going to get us where we want it to. So that's kind of where this whole thing stemmed from. But I don't know. I just want the same opportunities for my kids. But yeah, thanks for having me on. You can expect a lot more discussion about these topics from me and Nate, and I'm sure from you guys as well. But yeah, we're going to be posting a lot on our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at identicaldraw.com or at identicaldraw. So we have a website as well, identicaldraw.com. So that's kind of where you can find us. So
awesome. And yeah, guys, if you are listening and you haven't checked them out, and I know I've mentioned you guys in the past podcast before, I seriously, just the quality level of content you guys put out, let alone the message is awesome. Yeah. And so if you guys haven't checked it out, you should. Thanks again, Thomas. And I hope we can be talking again in the future here. So
yeah, for sure. Thanks guys.
All right. Have a great night, brother.
Thanks.